Hello, learners. Welcome to the next part of Consumer's Equilibrium Indifference Curve Analysis. So here we will discuss about budget set, budget line, consumer's equilibrium in terms of IC analysis. So let's begin with the explanation of budget set or consumer budget. So learners, I'm definitely sure that you must have heard about this term budget in your daily life, either from your mother, your father, your friends, or you must have used yourself. And you must have heard about the lines like, the budget of this month is very tight. I don't have budget to buy this dress. I don't have budget to eat in a restaurant this month. So, what do you understand by budget? So, in a normal sense, we understand that our ability to spend, right? And what are the two things which is very important in this? The two things are number one, price of the good. Number two, the income of the consumer, right? So, in the same way, let's understand it through the formal definition. What is budget set? So, budget set is the set of combination of two goods given prices of the goods and income of the consumer. So for the further explanation, we will draw a budget set. On left side, we will write the units of good 1, and on the right side, we will write units of good 2, right? And we will also write assumption afterwards. What are the assumption? That this table is drawn on the assumption that the consumer income or budget is equal to rupees 60. Price of good 1 equals to rupees 2 per unit. Price of good 2 equals to rupees 2 per unit. As I have already told you that the two most important thing whenever we define budget is income of the consumer and number 2, price of the good, right? Now moving forward, we will study about budget line, which is also known as price line. So, budget line, as the name suggests, what is it? It is, in the simplest form, graphical representation of budget set of the consumer. So here we will draw a diagram explaining it. YOX, on y-axis we will write good 2, and on x-axis we will write good 1. And we will draw we'll draw the line according to the budget set. Again, we will explain it by writing that this budget line is drawn on the assumption that the price of good 1 and good 2 is rupees 2 per unit, and the consumer has rupees 60 to spend, or the consumer income is rupees 60. Let's move forward toward the most important part of this chapter, that is consumer's equilibrium in terms of IC analysis. So learners, in the first part of this video, we learned about IC. And in this video, we learned about budget line. So here, when we draw the diagram of consumer's equilibrium in terms of IC analysis, it is obvious that we draw the IC curve and the budget line. So, hear me out. In terms of IC analysis, the consumer equilibrium is struck at the point where the IC curve and the price line intersect each other. In this diagram, it is at point Q. And at this point, the slope of price line or budget line is equal to the slope of IC. And what does the slope of price line indicate? It indicates Px upon Py, or price of good 1 upon price of good 2, which is equal to MRS XY. As slope of IC is indicated by marginal rate of substitution MRS X5 or good 1 or 2. So in terms of IC analysis, the consumer equilibrium is struck at the point where the IC curve and budget line touch each other, and the slope of IC or the slope of price line is equal to the slope of IC. For the explanation part, write about indifference curve, set indifference, make indifference curve, then define budget set, make budget set, and then make budget line, and at the end draw this diagram of consumer equilibrium, which is followed by some assumption. Number 1, the consumer is driven by monotonic preferences. Number 2, the consumer's scale of preference for the two goods does not change. Prices of the two goods are given and remain constant. Money income of the consumer is given and does not change. So at the last, write the assumptions. So the explanation of consumer's equilibrium in terms of IC analysis include: number 1, explanation of IC set, then drawing IC set, then IC curve, afterwards drawing budget set, budget line, and in the end draw this diagram of consumer equilibrium, which was in the last slide, and which is followed by the assumptions, or you can write the assumption before making the consumer's equilibrium diagram. So in this way, we completed the consumer's equilibrium in terms of IC analysis.